Okay, in this video, I am going to explain activities for the target grammar or expression. So, usually there is a grammar or expression, of course in English, that is the target of learning in each lesson on our textbook. So this is a copy of one page from Sunshine 1. And here we have some sentences, and obviously these are examples of the target expressions on this page. So, so for example, here we have what time is it, and its answer is it's 12 o'clock. And here we have another sentence, what time do you usually eat lunch? The answer is at 12:30. So so on this page, the target one of the target expression is what time is it, and the other one is what time do you do something. So these are target expressions on this page, and because these are the target expressions, the students have to learn these expressions, of course. And the teacher has to think about activities that the students will do to learn those target expressions or target grammars. And you have to do this when you analyze the contents of the textbook and when you make a plan of your class. So when you do them, you have to come up with activities that the students will do to learn the target grammar or expression. And here I call these just activities, but we can also call them language activities or communicative activities, etc. But we have to be careful. Some of the activities are not really communicative, so we can't call them communicative activities. So there are communicative activities and non-communicative activities, of course. But in this video, I call them simply activities. And these are three major types of activities. So the first one is called pattern practice. The second one is called information gap activity, and the third one is called communicative activity. Actually, these names are not very important. Important are their characteristics. So please try to understand the characteristics of each of these activities. And also there are other types of activities which I don't explain in this video. So please do not believe that these are the only activities that exist. So these are just three of the many activities that the teachers use. But I think it's important to understand these first. And here I take this as an example of a target expression. So our example today is what time do you do something, and I do something at a specific time. So this one, what time do you, for example, what time do you usually eat lunch? And I eat lunch at 12:30. So I take these as today's example to explain these three activities. So the first one is pattern practice. So what you do here is to, for example, is to give the students a worksheet on which you write something like this. So this is the instruction. So this is the example. So if the example is like this, the students are supposed to write or maybe speak sentences like this. So what time do you get up? So we have the same thing, get up here and here. And I get up at 6:30. So get up here comes from here, and 6:30 here comes from this 6:30. So like this, we have the students practice many different patterns. Here we have only 2 questions, but we can have 10 questions, 20 questions, or even more. So for the first question, the students are supposed to write or speak sentences like this. What time do you get home? So get home. I get home at 3:30. And for question 2, they have to write or say, what time do you have dinner? I have dinner at 7. So this is called pattern practice. So this is exercise, just exercise. And the second activity is called information gap activity. When we do this, we sometimes give the students worksheets. And here we have worksheet A and worksheet B. One student gets either one of these, just one of these, not both of these. So let's say I get worksheet A and my partner gets worksheet B. Okay. And please look at each of these worksheets. They have different information. So for example, the information here on worksheet A is missing. We don't have information here, but on worksheet B, we can find that information. So to complete the table, students with worksheet A have to ask their partners who have worksheet B for the information here. So they can say something like, so John, what time do you get home? And and A's partner, not exactly A's partner, but the student who has worksheet B, they pretend to be John. So they say, well, I get home at 3:15. Then then I write 3:15 here, and then I ask, so John, what time do you have dinner? And my partner, pretending to be John, my partner answers, I have dinner at 7:30, and then I write 7:30. Then I ask about going to bed, and then I write 10:30 here. 10:30. So we keep doing this until both of us, me and my partner, both of us complete our tables. So this is information gap activity. So there are gaps of information between me and my partners because we have different worksheets. And to fill in gaps, we use the target expression. So this is called information gap activity. And communicative activity is a bit similar to information gap activity, but it's also different from it. So this is an example of communicative activity. So the worksheet is very, very simple. Here we write the names of students, the names of classmates. So the first line is about me, so I write my name, Shiro, and I write my own information here. So I get up at 6, I leave home at 7:40, I get home at 3:15. And here I write my own question. So I want to know what time my classmates take a bath. So I write take a bath here. And I take a bath at 8:15. And so in this activity, the students have more freedom than in the information gap activity. So they can talk to people who they want to talk to. So I want to talk with Tsubasa, who is my best friend. So we'll play soccer together. And I actually know what time Tsubasa leaves home and what time Tsubasa gets home, because we go to school together and we come back from school together. So we live in the same neighborhood, and we leave home at the same time, and we then go to school together. So I already know the information here, but I don't know what time Tsubasa gets up and what time Tsubasa takes a bath. So I want to know his answers here and here. So I go to Tsubasa and ask him, what time do you get up? And Tsubasa says, I get up at 6 o'clock. Wow, same time. And I also ask Tsubasa, what time do you take a bath? And he says 9 o'clock. And so my comment is, so I'm glad that we get up at the same time. So we do this, I mean the students do this as real communication. So they want to, so they ask because they really want to know something. And let's say I also want to know about Kojiro more, because Kojiro is the most intelligent student in our class. So I ask about these. I asked Kojiro about these, and these are his answers. And I was very surprised, because he gets up very early and he leaves home a little earlier than us, and he takes a bath really early. So my comment is early. And I also want to know about Akane, because I like her. Of course, I don't tell this to anyone, but I like her very much. So I want to know about Akane, and these are her answers. So I go to Akane and ask her, what time do you get up? What time do you leave home? What time do you get home? What time do you take a bath? And she gives me her answers. And my comment is, I want to take a bath at the same time as Akane. So, so this is an example of communicative activity. So we do this, I mean the students do this as real communication. And in that real communication, they use the target expression or the target grammar. And the teacher's job here is to come up with a good idea of, I mean a good way of communicative activity where the students can enjoy, the students can use the target expression or the target grammar, and the students can get some new information about, in this case, their classmates. And also, it's good if they can express their own feelings or their own thoughts. And so, I explained 3 major activities: pattern practice, information gap activity, and communicative activity. And when we compare them, when we make a comparison of the 3 activities, we have to understand the importance of communication in English. The course of study, 学習指導要領 for junior high school says the overall objectives of English are to develop students' basic communication abilities such as listening, speaking, reading, and writing, deepening their understanding of language and culture, and fostering a positive attitude toward communication through foreign languages. So these 3 points are the overall objective of English at junior high school. So communication is very important when we teach English. So English is not just language, it's actually a tool for communication. Or at least we have to teach English as such. And then we have to think, what is communication? So according to one dictionary, to communicate is, first, to exchange information, news, ideas, etc. with somebody. 2, it is to make your ideas, feelings, thoughts, etc. known to other people so that they understand them. So these are the 2 main meanings. Oops. These are the 2 main meanings of the word to communicate. And this is important when we compare the 3 activities. So I'm going to talk about communication around here, but let's start with the first point here. So in pattern practice and information gap activity, the answers are given by the teacher or by the teaching materials itself. But in communicative activity, answers are not given a priori. The students think answers. And the aim of pattern practice is to get, it's for the students to get a linguistic skill, to acquire a linguistic skill. But for the for information gap activity, the aim is for the students to use a linguistic skill. But both of these are about linguistic skill. For communicative activity, the aim is to use a communicative skill, which includes a linguistic skill. So in a communicative activity, we have to have many different steps of communication. So the students have to ask something they really want to know, and the students have to say something that they really want to say, because that's in real communication they do so. Okay, the next point is the students' interest. The students are not interested in the contents of pattern practice at all, because the contents of pattern practice are not real, and they are not real at all. And we can say the same thing about information gap activity. But the students can get interested in the contents of communicative activity. For example, in our example of communicative activity in this video, in that example, the students can get to know more about their classmates, for example. And the next point is it's about exchange of new information. In pattern practice, the students do not exchange new information at all. But in information gap activity, they exchange new information, or information that some students don't know. So for those students, certain information can be new because they don't know it. And we can say the same thing about communicative activity. So we don't know what time our classmates go to bed. So, and we want to know. So we ask. But there is a small difference between this point, exchange of new information, and exchange of one's own information. So please go back to this. So these are two main meanings of to communicate. The first one is to exchange information, news, ideas, etc. The second one is to make your ideas, feelings, thoughts, etc. known to other people. So in an information gap activity, we do exchange new information, but that new information is not ours at all. So we don't, in information gap activity, we don't exchange our own information, but we do so in a communicative activity. So if we think about the degree of communicativeness, I would say 0 for pattern practice, because pattern practice doesn't involve communication at all. For information gap activity, I would say there is a medium degree of communicativeness, because we do exchange new information, but we don't exchange our own information in information gap activities. So I would say medium here, and a high degree of communicativeness is involved in communicative activity. Or we can't call an activity communicative unless there is a high degree of communicativeness. So here maybe you are thinking that okay, so among these 3 activities, communicative activity is the best. But actually, there are good points about pattern practice as well. So in pattern practice, and also maybe in information gap activity, the students can practice a large number of different patterns. But in a communicative activity, the number of patterns that the students can practice or can use, that number can be very small sometimes. It depends. We don't know. So if you want to have your students practice many different patterns, actually maybe it's a good idea to use pattern practice. And also for pattern practice, we can repeat the same patterns again and again, but we can't do that for information gap activity and communicative activity, because once the students get some new information, once they get it, that information becomes old, and it cannot be used again. So if you want your students to practice the same patterns again and again repeatedly, maybe pattern practice is a good way. So this is a summary. So when you prepare for a class, when you analyze the textbook, and when you make a plan of your class, you have to come up with activities for the target grammar or the target expression, and I mean the activities that your students will do in a class. And there are 3 major kinds of activities. Pattern practice, information gap activity, and communicative activity. And these are different in the degree of communicativeness. Okay, this is all. Thank you for listening.